Hi, this is Joseph J Cristiano. I am an author local to Waterbury, Connecticut. I have 4 novels that I've written so far, and a 5th will be coming out this October. I like the suspense horror genre. My novels can be found wherever novels are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, what have you.
What drew you to suspense horror?
It's what I like. It's what I like to read, so it's what I like to write.
So why don't you tell, you got 4 books here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them?
This was the first novel I ever wrote, The Last Battleship. It's a ghost story set on the high seas. It was my first attempt at writing a novel. It took quite a long time, but I think I learned a lot as I was writing it, and I'm quite proud of it. My second novel is Moon Dust. It takes place entirely on the moon, set a few years in the future, because I'm also a big fan of science fiction, and I knew I had to write at least one science fiction novel, and this is it. And my third novel, Dark Annie. It's a straight-up ghost story. It takes place in the fictional town of Deacon's Landing, Connecticut, which I based on Waterbury, so anybody from Waterbury will recognize some of the landmarks.
Oh yes, I did that one.
And my latest novel is a collection of short stories called Old Ghosts. And one of the short stories is also set in Deacon's Landing, Connecticut.
So do you have a website that people can go to?
I do not have a website. I do have online presence on Twitter and on Facebook. So if anybody has access to Facebook, they can find me, Joseph J. Cristiano, author, and on Twitter as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob Sodaro. I'm a writer. I'm actually one of the longest-running journalists in the field of comic books. I've been writing professionally since the early 80s. My work as a journalist has appeared in virtually every magazine about comic books that was published in the 80s and 90s. And about 10 years ago or so, I started writing fiction. And I have a number of short stories, mostly for independent publishers. Right now, one of my publishers is Pronto Comics. You can find them online at prontocomics.com. Pronto Comics is a group of independent writers, artists, and illustrators, and we work together to produce comic books. I have currently 3 comic books with Pronto Comics. My first one is called Hot Girl and Totally Hot Girl, which is good girl art and bad puns, and not necessarily in that order. It's a superhero book. This is this one is called Perceptions. It's a kind of a psychological, not a thriller, but a psychological story of what's really happening in somebody's life, whether it's happening in his head or happening in real life. And this one is one of my more interesting. This is called First in Flight. It's about Gustav Whitehead, who flew 2 years, who's a real life person, lived in Connecticut down in Fairfield and Bridgeport, and flew 2 years before the Wright brothers. And the Connecticut legislature has since passed legislation acknowledging that Gustav flew first before the Wright brothers. Virtually every credible historical study has found that he actually flew. Jane's All the World Aircraft, which is the foremost authority on aeronautics in the world, said that he flew first. The Smithsonian hasn't, because if they have a contract with the Wright brothers heirs that says if they acknowledge somebody other than the Wright brothers flew first, they lose the Kitty Hawk, so they're never going to acknowledge it, unfortunately. And this is a story I did, some spy stuff I did for called Agent Unknown. It's with Renegade Press. I did this back in the 80s, and I have that. And right now I'm just here at we're at Brass City Comic Con, and we're having a good time sharing comic books with all the youngsters. And everybody should read comic books because they're good for you. Anything else?
Do you have a website where people?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. I have a website. I still write. I do a lot of writing for Examiner.com about comic book and geek related stuff. But my website is. Don't tell me. Let me guess. It's called. I can't remember the exact. It's Nothing Sacred. It's a just look up. Nothing sacred. Sodaro, Sodaro. That's not the website, but the website is kind of a convoluted one. But if you look me up, I'll be online at there's nothingsacred.com. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, hello, I'm Chris Cagliari. I'm here promoting my work as well as my webcomic Playing Dead. You can find out more of my stuff at www.chriscagliari.com, and my webcomic is www.playingdeadthecomic.com.
What's Playing Dead about?
It's about me and my dog, and it's not like other guys and his dogs, because neither is smarter than the other. We're just two stupid animals, and a lot of nerd references, a lot of madcap chaos, and that's about it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kevin, and I am an artist of Kev's Tees webcomic. You can read all the comics on kevstees.com, and it's all free. And and that's it.
What's Kev's Tees about?
It is about 5 friends going through life, and it's all, they go to Comic Cons, they have boring office jobs, and they play video games, and it's basically geeks.
Yeah, you can do that too.
And where can they find out more about your work?
Kevstees.com. My portfolio's there, and the comics are there, everything's there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, Tom Ahern here. Doing pretty well today. Showing awesome stuff. I have a book coming out in about a month. Just had another book come out about a month ago. Working for a guy from San Antonio, Texas, another guy from Ohio. Doing pretty well. I love retirement. Beats working. Doing what I love, finally.
What kind of stories do you usually draw?
Mainly superhero stuff. Superhero monsters, stuff like that. Pretty much the stuff you see here.
What drew you to that?
Well, I started about maybe 50 years ago drawing, as far as that goes. And I always loved comic books, always loved superheroes. I was never able to do anything with it because I had a full-time job with the DOT for 34 years. Finally that ended, and it's like, I retired, and now I'm able to do this stuff. This is like playtime to me. Great to do something you love, it's not even work.
Where can they find more about your work?
IndiePlanet.com, James Rubino Comics, Rubino. That's mainly who I'm working for at this point, out of San Antonio.
Yeah.
See if you can use it or not.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Marc Mastel. I'm a writer and illustrator. I am self-publishing a book called Nomad, which is a space adventure. And I have also written and produced another graphic novel called Dogs of War. And we're here at this show today to promote and let everybody know about indie comics.
What's Nomad about?
Nomad is a space sci-fi book about 2 characters, Nomad and his brother Magellan. Nomad is a perfect physical specimen, and Magellan is an interactive AI. It's basically a huge sphere spaceship, and they are basically going against the villains that created them.
What about Dogs of War?
Dogs of War is a sword and sorcery sandal type book. It's all about anthropomorphic creatures. Our main character is Sharpay. He's an anthropomorphized Sharpay, and he has a group of people who are helping him fight against the evil of this world that he lives in.
And where can they find out more about your work?
You can go to my website, which is www.mastel.com, MASZTAL.
Thank you.
Okay.
How you doing? This is Jim Taylor here at Brass City Common, Waterbury, Connecticut. Down here selling my art prints and also promoting the upcoming book, The Wrap, which everybody seems to be looking forward to. So we came down here. My friend Troy he stopped by, asked if I would do a little promo, and I definitely appreciate it. So all of my question is, why aren't you here? Come to Brass City Con. It's a great place. It's a nice, fun, small show, and you get a chance to talk to a lot of good, creative people.
So what is The Wrap about?
The Wrap is set in the late 1930s, down in Louisiana, and with it we're hoping to attack a lot of things, from voodoo to police corruption to all sorts of mystic, magical elements that are going to be going in there. Should be very, very interesting. So, from the response that I've gotten from people so far that I've talked to about it and given them a little taste of what's going on, they say they're very interested to see the book. So
you've got a few other books here. What are
books that I've worked on in the past? I've either done cover work or I've got an interior story that I've worked on. There's one book here, It's Lovely as Alive from Illustration Studios, was actually the first comic that I was ever published in way too many years ago that I don't even want to admit. So, but I've still got some copies of them and just selling them at a huge discount.
And what's Recollection about?
Recollection is a magazine that I co-published with another artist, Rusty Gilligan, and we kind of examine public domain characters, characters from the 30s and 40s. A lot of these characters people don't even know. For example, this is Bullet Man and Daredevil, the original Daredevil, long before Marvel had a Daredevil. So a lot of these characters have been completely forgotten about, and we kind of wanted to bring them back and showcase that these are the foundations of the industry that people are enjoying now. They're enjoying the movies and the TV shows, but it had to start somewhere, and that's why we bring out Recollection.
You got one more buried under here.
So, yeah, this Skywatcher. I was asked to do the cover for that particular book. So, I get asked either to do, a lot of times for interior artwork or a lot of times just for the covers. So, whichever, I'm always open and available for work. So, you should check me out on JimTaylorArt.com on the website.
Hi, I'm Michael Marc. I'm the author and illustrator of Surviving the Storm. It's a comic book about how my family survived Hurricane Sandy. I created the book because we lost power for 9 days in Jersey City, New Jersey during Hurricane Sandy, and I was trying to stay sane and not lose my mind. And the comic book is now available in schools in New Jersey and in New York, and bookstores in Washington and New York and New Jersey as well. Target audience is grades 3 to about 6, and it has a survival and preparedness guide in it as well, and worksheets for teachers and students.
And where can they find more about it?
You can find more about it on my website, www.markmandesigns.net, Word Bookstore in Jersey City, New Jersey, Amazon.com, and CreateSpace.
My name is Alex Jannett. I'm the writer and publisher of Sarah Fair and the House at the End of the World, which is a fully illustrated children's book. It's about a little girl who goes off into the dark in search of her missing friend, and it's illustrated by Abigail Larson. Today I have a couple of author's copies on hand, and we just sold through our first print run of 500, and we just kickstarted a second print, so new books are coming next week.
Who would be the target audience?
It kind of varies. I work at a library, so I've done readings for kids as young as kindergarten, and I've sold a lot to 20-somethings and 30-somethings. So I think the art is a little bit older, but the story is geared towards younger kids.
And where can they find more about your work?
They can go to www.sarahfair.com, and they can also Google Sarah Fair Kickstarter. There's a lot of stuff on that site too.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.